This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Bryn Drescher. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, that's wonderful. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in Los Angeles, California. Sunny Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love when I do that and the truth in the individual shines through. And they're like, hey, it's not night here.
That's right. It is daytime.
Yeah.
And, but we're rounding the bend to early evening because we're just about 4 o'clock. So that's pretty good.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was in LA and we visited... I always forget the Echo Park. Yeah? Echo Park.
Great place. Great place. Right by Dodgers Stadium. A lot of good stuff over there.
Yeah, it was super cool. We got to interview some individuals that were on the podcast. It was pretty cool. And the water helped it to be cool compared to what was the other heat that was going on. LA is a super cool place.
It is. It has been cold lately as well, although, weather is a fun topic that we can talk about for hours, I suppose. But yes.
Yeah. Well, are you telling me we only have 12 minutes? Are you coming on here to tell me that?
No, I am not telling you that. You might have another appointment after this. So I'm just...
All right. That's fair enough. Well, do tell us, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
I would be my work as an entrepreneur and basically helping people with getting their message out there and truly impacting as many people as possible. And I do that through various different means, but one of them is helping people with sort of hone their social media message as well as getting their mind right to make sure that they're ready for new plateaus, not plateaus, but new levels in their business and life.
That's pretty cool. Who did you learn that from, that ability to do that?
Well, I've always been into the mindset piece. I think over time, just my own journey and realizing what I've come up against, I've got that story that some of us have. You grew up in a single parent household, maybe poor, lower, I don't want to say like lower class, but lower, and not quite upper class or middle class, but essentially just kind of always feeling like that, you're behind the 8 ball sometimes, and realizing that that's just a story, and I remember the quote, he who is given so much, I'm saying this totally wrong, but like the more that you're expected of you, basically. Him to whom much is given is expected, so it's like... Much
is expected,
yeah, much is expected, thank you. I'm saying it totally, I don't know why all of a sudden I've been able to say it before, but anyway, I thought that always meant that those were people that had lots of money or resources. And what I realized is that it was more about what was put on you was only shaping you for a bigger vision. And I naturally am very gregarious and magnanimous and not shy on camera or to, speaking. And so I was doing a lot of live streaming via social media, and I started to think like, well, this is a skill that I could help other people do and figure out how to package their message. I'm just really good at, like, if you tell me your business, I can usually give you an idea of like what you can be doing to really parlay that into a social media message that can get other people interested and involved. So
super cool. Where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me, sorry, something was just falling in my closet, is via social media. So, of course, I know all of a sudden it was like, what is that? Apologize. It is at Bryn Drescher, pretty much everywhere on social media. So Instagram, Twitter, although I'm not much of a Twitterer, just being honest, but Facebook, all that, you can just find me at Bryn Drescher. So,
who did you learn how to be so honest from?
I think I always thought that was just the way to be. I think there was people in my life, not to denigrate anyone in particular, but we're always sort of over-promising, under-delivering. And I didn't like that so much. Because, like as a kid, I was very hopeful and, idealistic. And so I don't know. And maybe it was from identifying with characters on TV, because I don't really remember like a talk from a parental figure saying, you got to be honest. But I think, being very forthright, and to the point that it probably maybe I'm sometimes too honest, is just been a characteristic I've had for as long as I can remember. And it's just like when I used to watch TV all the time, and then I started saying yes ma'am, no ma'am, and no one taught me to do that. I just do yes sir, no ma'am. But it's not necessarily because I think the person's old or anything. I just naturally did that, and probably because I watched some show with somebody on the military. Who knows where I got that stuff from? But I just picked up certain things that I decided to make part of my personality, and I think being really honest was one of them. So
tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Consistently over the last 3 years, I've been facilitating workshops in high school and middle school to help students sort of get through some of the blocks that they have and figure out how to better serve themselves in pursuit of their goals. And that's been really rewarding. And I've found that, as much as people say, it is, rewarding to work, to give. It's also great because I receive a lot in being around young people, because I think what I've learned about young people is that they are people and they don't need to be talked to necessarily very differently. And they really appreciate honesty too. So, so that's something I've really enjoyed. And laughing. That's another thing I've done consistently for the last 3 years.
Yeah, you laugh a lot?
Yes, I like to laugh. Well, I like to make people laugh, and I like to laugh.
How do you get to strategically put yourself in a position where you get to laugh? I mean, I know how you could get a cup of coffee, right? Like you go to the store, you get a cup of coffee. But how do you put or strategically position yourself to be able to laugh more?
Well, I think it's by having a certain perspective of life, is that there's always something to laugh with or laugh at. And so, like, one, not taking it too seriously, not thinking that, and maybe not always putting yourself in the center of everything, but in the sense of just being able, like, just having a sense of humor about life. So I think it's really strategic just to look at the lighter side of life. I've really working and continuously working on my mindset and realizing that it's all perspective. Many times we go through difficult things in our lives, and other people can go through those same things and not have the same challenge. And it has a lot to do with perspective. It has a lot to do with the ability to see the good in everything that's happening. It doesn't mean you're not going to have sad days. I mean, you can laugh even, like in your grief, so laughter is something, in your memory, remembering that person or that situation. So there's always an opportunity to laugh. It's just whether we take it or not.
Yeah, definitely. When you listen back to this after we provide the recording, you're going to laugh at the fact that you said something was falling from your cupboard.
Yes, I know. I'm telling you, it was weird. It was just all of a sudden I heard this noise and I was like, what?
Yeah. Love it. All right, well, let's switch gears for a moment. Now, let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Bryn, what's your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, wow. Earliest childhood memory. Probably the earliest I can remember is, and this may be out of order, I don't know, but being on my grandma and grandpa's farm as a kid. And we were playing in a sandbox they had. I grew up in Illinois, but my grandparents had a farm in central, I think, Illinois. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, so we were playing in a sandbox, and I remember there being a snake in there.
What?
Like a garter snake. We're not talking about a cobra or anything like that. Although, for a child, that's still scary. And I remember maybe my little brother stayed in the sandbox, but I ran to get my grandfather, or maybe we screamed. I don't know. But my grandfather came with a shovel and he killed the snake. I think he chopped it in half or something like that. But it wasn't traumatic. I don't know. It wasn't traumatic, but that's probably the earliest memory I can and there was other things on the farm. I know they had animals there, and then there was a point where they didn't have animals, but that one's not as clear as that moment in the sandbox.
Wow.
So,
how old were you again?
I would have, I honestly, it's funny. A lot of times when I remember things, I always think I'm older than I am, but I'm assuming I was somewhere, like maybe south of 5, but I'm not quite sure.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I don't, I do wonder why, but it could just be that, maybe it was traumatic, like seeing the snake and then seeing my grandfather kill it. But I think it was also that I had a lot of fun on that farm, and it was kind of like a cool thing to maybe have your grandfather come in and like rescue you in a situation like that. So I'm hoping that's the reason, and it's less about the fact that I saw a snake die.
Mm-hmm. Let's try to draw a line. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today, that experience?
Oh, wow. Wow. So maybe I should have told you the other memory, but I don't know. That was a tough one. How do I see that connecting? Well, I think if my memory is correct, where I went to go see I went to get my grandfather, right? To because I think I've always been kind of like this caretaker in the sense of like always been so independent, like trying to take charge in situations, being kind of a leader. And so if I was to draw a line from that memory, it was just the fact that, doing something I enjoy. And then when something happened, I was taking action, right? Like when the rubber meets the road, or, whatever they say, like those cliche sayings, I'm kind of like very responsive in those situations. I wouldn't say I'm always the most proactive, but when I need to be, I'm super like on it.
That's cool.
And in that situation, I felt like I was, I did what I needed to do to protect us. And I feel like I did that a lot in my life. I always, though I wasn't the oldest, I was the only girl, but I always took on the role of sort of like helping my family. And so,
love it. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture
Sure.
you created in my mind? I'll add, right? So, I mean,
Yes.
I think you did that really, like, it was beautiful the way you just did that. I'll just add something. The fact that at that age, you already gathered the knowledge that was necessary to make the decision in the situation, to me, is fascinating.
That's true. Well, I think I had when I think of my childhood, like I said, I always feel like I'm older. So I love that you're in, because it was always like, I felt like I took a lot of responsibility on at a young age. And it could be because, I didn't have a father figure around, or I didn't have, I had to be sort of more capable, like because my mom had to work. And so we had to figure stuff out.
Hey, it could just be that you were good. Like you were
and it
good.
could also be that I was born with that.
Yeah,
yes, true.
You were
true,
good.
true.
Like, well done. Well done. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
So I know you asked that question, and
Did you do any research?
I did.
Okay,
and
nothing
it was
popped?
so many songs.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, like so many songs. Music has always been a thing. I would say that Michael Jackson music, because when I looked through the list, I was like, I really like Michael Jackson, but I wasn't sure, because I was like, gosh, I like so many things. But I definitely remember the Thriller, or what I think it was the Thriller album, being something that I played quite a bit.
All right.
So like I was a huge fan of Michael Jackson. I remember we had like the glove and the jacket. And so I was a super fan.
All right. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Bryn, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to? Hit me, yes or no?
No.
Are you married?
I am not, but I'm in a relationship.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than
God.
8? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. That's my business, so yes.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Bryn Drescher, what would you say that is?
The first thing that came to mind, so I'll just say it, is be uniquely you. So, and uniquely spelled Y-O-U.
Love it.
Just be uniquely you, just putting you in there again, because it's really just about be yourself. Because
You're great enough, yeah? You're good enough.
Yeah,
Just like
exactly.
that little girl who...
Yeah, or you are enough. That's also a great one.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are enough. You did it, right? Like, you
Yes.
saved your brother. You saved
Exactly.
your brother. Well, my friend, this has been such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just to tell people they're doing better than they think they are.
Bryn,
Just,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for being on what is inspired by 12-minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you
You're welcome
for having me.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.